So hello, you are listening to the Food and Drink Show on Radio REVERB, and of course that's 97.2 FM, and maybe some of you are listening online as well. Well, it's so lovely when we come to December because not only do we get to talk about food, but it's all the trimmings, I think, isn't it? It's the cheese, it's the chocolate, it's the wines, and it's maybe tempting you to try things that you wouldn't normally. This is treat time. And I am so pleased that we've got Louise Oliver from Seven Cellars in Brighton with us now to tempt us with hopefully some little treats for Christmas. Louise, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So Louise, I love now this wonderful spread that you have in front of us here because we've got everything from wines to beers to whiskies, and we're even going to have something that it's not a tequila, but it's something else. Listeners, listen out for it. It's going to be great. But Louise, one of the things that is amazing, there was some statistics brought out to say that really here in the UK, we play safe. We go looking at a label and we either look for Pinot Grigio, the biggest seller in white wine. Then we've got Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc coming up then the ranks, but Pinot Grigio is number one. But no, and it's about a fear factor of trying something different. And also over 50% of people when interviewed, over 2,000 people were interviewed, didn't actually know much about grapes or how wine was made. And in the reds, people were safer going for, there's a Merlot, a Malbec, or a Spanish Rioja. And that's all people look for on the label to play safe, either in eating out or buying in a supermarket. So that's why it's so great to have you here as an independent, wine expert to introduce us to some new things, particularly at Christmas and New Year when we want something exciting. So what are we going to start with today?
Today we're going to start with one of my favourite wines in the shop. It's Lambrusco. So
really?
Yes.
One of your favourite wines is a Lambrusco.
It is one of my favourite wines. I absolutely love it. And it's particularly festive. Lambrusco is the name of the grape. It's a red grape and it's grown in a region called Lazio, which is where this is all grown, and in Italy. It's a red sparkling wine and it's so popular in Italy with the Italians because it's such a flexible wine. It goes with canapes. You could pair it with any Italian food like spaghetti bolognese or just general canapes and starters and that sort of thing. It's really a delicious wine, and it's different and it's fun. So for me, it's not Christmas without having some Lambrusco. It really isn't.
I'm so keen to try it. So we're going to have a little taste now of it because I have, last year actually, funny enough, I did go for a sparkling red just to try to be a little bit different, and I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And it came as a recommendation, so I was so pleased. And what I also like as well too is that it's not a new world wine. You're sticking with it coming from Italy, so we're not going to be overpowering. So what sort of percent is in this Lambrusco?
This is 12.5%.
Okay,
so it's a good party wine.
Yeah, it is.
It's also natural and biodynamic. I don't know if you know what that means, but it's organic and it's made naturally. So that means the winemaker hasn't added lots of wine packet yeast. It's all of the fermentation has happened spontaneously. The biodynamic movement was really formed by a guy called Rudolf Steiner. If you've ever heard of the Steiner school movement, it's the same chap.
Really? What a clever man.
Yeah, exactly. So he designed a series of techniques for the vineyard, and it starts with the growing and the planting. So if you want to use any fertilizers, he prescribes a particular set of ways of getting the fertilizer. You bury a cow horn full of manure and things for a long time, and then you use that on the grapes. you will use chickens, and you'll have they will peck at the grubs around. And the whole idea is that the vineyard is part of the universe. And so you don't necessarily have any vehicles on site which have got fuel, so it's all electric vehicles, that sort of thing. And it's really a very careful way of making grapes. And so consequently, lots of the wines are particularly good because it's taken such care and attention in every stage of the process.
It's like everything in life, isn't it? They say if it's the preparation, like painting and decorating, get the preparation right,
Yes,
and it makes life easier. But we're talking about flavour and taste. So it's fizzing up beautifully in the glass, and it is that ruby red colour as well too. And we're going to give a little...
So lots of dark fruits.
Lovely.
Black currant, black cherry, little slightly sort of sour black cherry on the palate. It's really nice. A lot of length on the
There's
palate.
a lot of length on the palate.
That
and for anyone
just keeps going and going.
What is length on the palate? It's just you keep getting those flavours, and there's a lasting note, which is the black sort of currant or black fruit or something.
Yeah, black cherry. I really
You're absolutely right, coming through at the end. I get a sense of joy when that happens, because when people say, oh, that's a load of nonsense talking about that. But actually, when you have something that's good, you do. It
really
keeps going
notice it,
on,
don't you? Yeah.
You just need to take the time and savour what you're drinking. Just enjoy. And not like me, drink and talk at the same time. Just enjoy the moment, which is lovely.
The great thing about using a local wine merchant, it does help you to choose different wines and be a bit more daring. Which person, not a lot of people know about Lambrusco. They might get confused with the big brand Lambrini, and it's absolutely not that at all.
Good you said that, because I think that's where we do get confused with that.
Yes. There's no shame in being confused. There's no shame in asking for something or not knowing. Any wine merchant in the city will be able to look after you and advise you on trying different wines. If you like Pinot Grigio, what can I have instead of that? And you'll get someone to tell you, well, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? There's lots of different...
That's what we want, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
So if we are having this, where you could just have this as people are arriving as an aperitif, but paired with food, what is it going to go with everything we have on the table?
I don't think it would go with everything, but it's particularly good with things like charcuterie or those, lovely roasted vegetables. You get in Italian restaurants or something, you might have a cold plate of roasted vegetables, something like artichoke hearts in oil, that sort of thing. Will pick out those flavours and match brilliantly with it.
Lovely. So I think that's great. So you can have that. And sometimes over the festive time, it's just lovely, isn't it? Having family or friends around, and you have the cheese board, you have your cold meats, whatever. And it's the cold turkey afterwards. I always think it's better, isn't it? When you have it afterwards.
Better the next day.
And you're just more relaxed as well too, and you can just nibble and chat and chill. It's just a lovely thing. So this is a sparkling red,
naturally sparkling red,
sparkling. It is sparkling Lambrusco from Italy. And what sort of price are we looking at here?
This is about £17.50.
Okay, well worth it to me. I think it's just delicious, really lovely. And remember, this is Christmas, New Year, so why not have something a little bit special on your table, which is lovely. So sparkling red, love it, love it, love it. Now, you've also got a white. So, of course, people are thinking, well, I kind of go with, I like a Pinot or I like a Sauvignon. Do you ever notice people are very clear about which they prefer? The Pinot, Chardonnay or the Sauvignon Blanc. But it goes beyond that, Louise.
It does, absolutely. You need to challenge yourself, you need to challenge your palate, because there's no point in closing your mind. There are thousands and thousands of grape varieties. And if you come into a local wine merchant, they will help you. If you like one style of wine, you might be surprised. Or if you don't like one style of wine, I mean, we get lots of people saying how much they hate Chardonnay.
Yes.
And
Chardonnay is like Marmite.
It's the ABC, anything but Chardonnay. And but Chardonnay is in Champagne, It's the main grape variety for Chablis. And these people that it's just, there's nothing wrong in saying I hate Chardonnay. There's certain styles of Chardonnay which people really don't like. That the 1980s Australian woody Chardonnay, which is all but vanished now. We don't really have that sort of wine anymore. But if you think about how Champagne has Chardonnay in it, it's a main component of some of the most elegant wines in the world, perhaps it's time to think again and revisit it.
So it's really thinking about what is that saying on the palate. So people will often read a label and just think about you're looking for dry or sweet, fruity, floral. These are the sort of terms that you get to know and think, well, I like something sweeter or something drier, isn't it? You've brought a white for us.
Yes, I have. Now, the reason I bought this wine is because it says Puy Fumé on the label. And I'm afraid to say that the French wine system is quite complicated to understand. And they don't often, they are doing more of this, but they don't often put the grape on the label. They put Puy Fumé, which is found in the Loire Valley in France. And actually, the wine inside this bottle is Sauvignon Blanc. So if you see a wine that says Puy Fumé, you don't know what it is, and you don't want to risk £17.50 on it, and I can understand why it's a lot of money to risk if you don't know if you're going to like it. And this is, again, it's about £17.50. But this is Sauvignon Blanc. If you're into New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, as lots of people are, you might want to just try this because it's so elegant, and it's like the wine that New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc wanted to be when they first came out with Sauvignon Blanc. And actually, over the years, I think New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc has become really a very different beast to how it started. It's very strong, and it's very strong tasting wine. And whilst lots of people love that, some people aren't so keen on it, and they think it's a bit strong tasting. Well, try this. It's so elegant and so refined, and really worth having a look at, have a revisit.
So it is really a Sauvignon Blanc.
It is 100%.
However, it's Puy Fumé.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Well, this means it's the region that it's from, and it's an appellation in the Loire Valley. And it comes from a specific place.
Because it is actually one of my favourite styles. I really love it. Yeah, really love it.
Okay, that's good to know.
And so I really think that that's going to be a winner. So fantastic. So a nice alternative. Remember, it's about treating yourself. And we have Louise Oliver here with me on the Food and Drink Show. We're getting festive. So we've had a surprising sparkling red. Then we've been introduced to a white. Remember, if you like Sauvignon Blanc, you're going to be really surprised and delighted by this Puy Fumé. And now we're going to have, well, you've got to have a red at Christmas.
Yeah.
You have to have a red at Christmas. So you brought something what you believe is really special, Louise.
It is special. It's from the Black Stallion winery in the Napa Valley. Mm-hmm. And I bought this specifically because I thought it would go brilliantly with Christmas dinner. Now, I was a bit naughty, and I did choose a wine that's quite expensive.
But we deserve a treat.
Yeah, we all deserve a treat at Christmas. This is around about £35 on the shelf, and it's absolutely stunning. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, which is one of my favourite grape varieties. It's very dark fruits, beautiful, with a real kind of bit of... There's a customer that called it a little bit of spite in there. So it doesn't...
a little bit of spite.
It doesn't give over too easy. It's not too fruity, not too juicy, not too like some of Ribena. It's not like that. Yeah. It doesn't give itself over too easy. It makes you... I don't know. It kind of, you have to really kind of get into it.
Because a lot of people now are thinking, I think a mature drinker of red wine will sort of steer towards a Malbec. So
Yes.
we're talking a weighty wine. Where would it be on the scale of that?
It's very full-bodied, so it's very similar and would go brilliantly with any roast dinner. Lots of those powerful flavours will stand up well against it. You know, you've got the Christmas dinner and there's lots and lots and lots of different flavours going on that plate. So I chose it specifically to go with Christmas dinner.
Fantastic. Well, and the whole thing is just to savor it. So you can have, cheaper wines, and, if you're going to your supermarket and everything, but if you just think, I'm going to sit down and savor something as a little treat. Also, I'm thinking about as a gift, because my brother will enjoy a glass of red wine, and he just enjoys one or two, but I think he would really, really appreciate that. And for somebody who has everything, what do you buy somebody who can, just go and buy anything themselves? But it's these sort of things. It's good chocolate, it's good wine, good cheese. You can't go wrong with that. So this is the Black Stallion Estate Winery from the Napa Valley. Gorgeous, a Cabernet Sauvignon. Lovely. Okay, that is really good. And you can get that, everything we're talking about today, you can get from Louise at 7 Cellars, at 7 Dials. And actually, we're going to, now, before we go on to some other drinks, you have opened at Brighton train station. So listeners, if you have been running to get the train, coffee in hand, and you did a double take and you thought, yoo-hoo, I can now go and buy some drinks to take after I finish work. So how is it going for you?
Well, it's going really, really well. We opened at the end of October and we've been so welcomed. It's been fantastic. I worked with lots of local people to get the shop open. We worked with Chloe Bullock at Materialise Interiors. She's a local lady from Hanover, and she helped me to design the space, because it's a very small little shop in the old Cards Galore unit. And she has done just such a fantastic job there, utilising every single inch of the place to make sure that there's enough of a choice for people, because that's what you want when you go into a wine shop. You want choice. So we've got lots and lots of spirits there. That's actually our top seller at the station, which is really interesting. The range of spirits is brilliant. We've got around about 200 there in that space. And also we've got beers there. So for your train beers, if you're going somewhere, if you're going on a train, you're going up to London or you're heading somewhere else, you can pick up a nice beer there. We've got lots of wines, obviously, and lots of ready-to-drink things. So Brighton Gin and Tonic.
Oh, don't you love I know
so
they sponsor
good.
the programme. These tins, listeners, the tins are amazing, okay? They are just so delicious. I think they far, surpass any others on the market. I know I may be a bit biased, but I don't think so. On the palate, it's just like you've made it yourself. I think it's really, really clever. So I'm glad you've got those there. Because there's nothing like having a little G&T and maybe, some nice little crispy things, and you natter and see the whole train journey off to a good start, which is great. Because some people would have said, oh my gosh, you are mad opening a new retail business. We're still not out of COVID. Did you have any qualms at all, Louise?
I didn't have any qualms whatsoever. I really felt that it was needed. If a wine shop is needed. I don't know. But for me, I thought it's the first place, it's the last place you can buy a drink in Brighton now. And it's brilliant to be part of such a fabulous historic building. It was built in 1841. And did you know that my shop at the Dials also built in 1841?
No!
Yeah, what a coincidence.
That was meant to be.
It was totally meant to be.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a lovely thing for you to have.
Yeah, well, it's so good. And it's been, and also, it's not just commuters that come to us. There's people that live around there that are dashing through. Lots of people walk through the station on their way to somewhere else. And we're there for all sorts of reasons, not just commuters.
Oh, fantastic. That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, you've mentioned that you've over 200 spirits,
Yes.
some of which we actually have here on the table.
Yes.
So I think before we go on to the spirits, let's look at, you've brought a beer for us to try.
Oh, yes.
And there's something lovely about that tin opening, isn't there? So if you want to open the can and tell us about this, because again, we are talking about treats and, we love chocolate and all sorts of yumminess. So we kind of have everything going on in this can. Tell us more.
We do. So this is Sussex Small Batch Brewery, and we've been basically selling these beers for quite a long time, since we opened. 6 years we've been at the Dials now, which is our birthday coming up next week.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And the chap that makes these beers, he only makes stouts. I never really got into stouts until I started trying these.
Really?
Yes. So these stouts have got, this one particularly, it's called Topical Stout. And in it, he's brewed with cocoa nibs and hazelnuts. And he's brewed something that tastes, for all the world, like a Topic chocolate bar.
No way. Okay, we got to try this. Listeners, I'm going to try this now and just say, can I get the flavour of a Topic bar? Imagine if you love beer, you love chocolate. For me, I have to say that I really, thank you, I enjoy a Guinness.
Oh, well, you're going to love this.
And, the zero alcohol Guinness is superb. The cans, if you haven't tried it, listener, that's really worth trying as well too. And Hepworth Brewery have an incredible range of stouts. I'm blown away by their beers. The Food and Drink Show, we paid a visit during the summer.
Okay.
And, the full range, but the stout, absolutely excellent. Oh, so we're getting a lovely creamy head.
Yes.
It's good and dark. Okay, that's going on there. The smell on your nose, the note. That is definitely
so
chocolate.
Yeah.
Well, that's pudding for me.
Isn't that good?
This is definitely, this is the one.
So
isn't it for me?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's also got another range. So he's got one that tastes like a Bounty bar, so brewed with coconuts and chocolate. And then the other one he's done is a Reese's Pieces stout, so peanuts and chocolate.
Wow. Now you're getting that sort of in the middle of the tongue. I'm getting the chocolatey notes, but I'm getting the stout, also
flavor,
there.
that bitterness.
Yeah, so it's not over sweet. I think this is delicious. You could, to have this as well, instead
really
of a port or something would be lovely.
It really would.
And if, I don't know that I'd need it. I don't know I'd need a pudding. I think I'd just say, give me a glass of this beautiful beer, stout.
Yeah.
Now, what do they retail for as cans?
These are not too bad as far as craft beer goes. Around about £3.50.
Lovely. Lovely to have a few of those. And when I've got a few stout drinkers in the family and friends, to have a few of these as something different.
Stocking fillers, they're perfect shape. Put them in the stocking.
Fabulous. Great idea.
Yeah.
A great idea as a stocking filler. Okay, we're sold on that. Hooray, hooray, hooray to Sussex Small Batch. What do they call it again? Sussex?
Sussex Small Batch, based in Worthing.
That's it. Based in Worthing.
Yeah.
Amazing. We like it. We like that a lot.
I do too.
Okay, now we could talk forever here on the Food and Drink Show with Louise Oliver from Seven Cellars, but we've got a whiskey and we have an alternative to a tequila. I want you to just tell me very quickly why you have brought this with you.
Well, I thought it was a really good gift size. It's £25. There's a little kind of hip flask style as well, so it's quite cool. It's got a cool label, really good for gifting, and it's a mezcal. So mezcal is pretty ubiquitous in Mexico, even more so than tequila. It's got a real smoky flavour to it, mezcal, which is very different from tequila, although it's made from the same plant. So the agave plant, and what they do is they take the heart from the agave plant and they roast them. And that's where you get this lovely smoky aroma from and smoky flavour. So what happens is once they've been well roasted in these big fire pits, they go into a wheel, and using a donkey, the donkey will walk the wheel round, and out will come the juice, and then that juice is distilled, and the result is mezcal. It's brilliant with a touch of lime, some ice, lime, perhaps a little squeeze of lemon or clementine, something like that. Make it a little bit Christmassy.
Yeah.
And it tastes delicious. So that's my top tip. If you like whiskey, if you're thinking, oh, what can I go? I always buy my dad a whiskey, or I always buy mum a whiskey. What can I get that's alternative? If you like a smoky whiskey, particularly, you're going to like a mezcal.
Ooh.
Don't think of it as that nasty drink that you have before you throw up in a nightclub. It's not that. This is all different, altogether different. This is really... I'm talking from experience here.
Yeah, okay, and I'm laughing with experience as well. You know what I mean? Oh, yes.
This is really well made, well crafted, artisanal product.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now, as you said, it's perfect for going into a stocking or a gift size. Yeah. What sort of price are we looking at here?
£25.
£25. Love it. And the label as well is very earthy, and it kind of has a Mexican look. It's sort of really a cream label with red writing on it, and there's a bull on there as well. I think that is a bull, isn't it, with horns?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very cool, and you can use the bottle afterwards as well, because it's got one of those stoppers at the top, which is great. So wonderful. And last but not least, we are going to have a little nip of whiskey. Ooh. Because Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without a little nip of whiskey. But I know you've decided on Scottish and not Irish, and I will not take offence, Louise, because you'll have done this with good reason, okay? But there is, and it's because you're an expert with taste and you're thinking about what people are eating or drinking. So tell us why you have selected this whiskey.
Well, Ben Romack is a really good distillery up in Speyside, mm-hmm. and this is a kind of...
Oh, that pop. Oh.
This is a light, fruity and elegant whiskey. It's a single malt, and it is from the region of Speyside, which is getting more and more popular when it comes to...
just a small one.
Whiskey.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can have different types of whiskey. You can have Highland, Lowland, Islay, and of course, Irish.
Yes.
And we've got a particularly good selection of whiskies at the shop, at both shops. And this is just one that I like particularly because I'm not really into the smoky whiskey.
I'm not either.
I find that a little bit too fierce on the palate. But this, it's really smooth.
It is, but there's still that little bit of a kick.
It's been aged for 10 years.
And it is definitely a Scotch whiskey. Mm. You know, you can really tell that on the back of the tongue, but it's still smooth. And so if people are keen on... What is nice about this is that it's a good all-rounder, I think.
It is a good all-rounder, yes. It's been aged in oak for 10 years. Mm. Whiskies don't age in the bottle. Did you know that? It's not. It's the age statement is for the time it spends in a cask, and so you are getting some of that char, a little kick of smoke, some of that char from the barrel. So they toast the barrels before the whiskies go in, and it depends on how much they toast it as to how charred and smoky it becomes. So this is my top tip. It's under £40, and it's on sale now.
Oh. Do you know, this is really lovely because I would normally not be so keen on going Scottish. It's not
I wonder
because...
why.
Well, it is that I have my favourites of the Irish whiskies, but there's often a smokiness that I'm not as keen on. But this, it's
well
really
integrated.
interesting.
Yes.
And just to savour the notes. Now, what would you eat with this? Because this is the thing too, again, just thinking about those lovely, just casual gatherings, or maybe after you've had your pudding and you're going to have your cheese course in true continental
You could certainly
style.
have this with cheese. This would be lovely with cheese. It would be lovely with mince pies. It would be lovely with Christmas pudding. That's what I would generally have it
So
with.
you could have a wee tot with your Christmas pudding, flame a
Yes.
little bit over the Christmas pudding,
Certainly.
and then enjoy. Because let's face it, we based our Christmas cakes and Christmas puddings in alcohol, often a whiskey or a brandy. So I think that's really nice. So goes well with everything that we're enjoying. Whew, I tell you what, how delicious. Okay. Louise, absolutely fantastic. You've given us loads of things to think about. This is about treats for Christmas for yourself and for other people. You can find Louise at Seven Cellars on the Seven Dials and also at Brighton train station. It's been a delight and thank you. And we wish you all the very best for the season.
Thank you very
ho.
much.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
now glowing.
Me
I'm
too.
glowing. I'm glowing, listeners.
My face is bright red.
It's lovely. I have to remember that this is a working day. Oh, I love this kind of radio whenever we get to taste lovely things. So thank you so much for bringing this selection. So Louise Oliver from Seven Cellars here on the Food and Drink Show with myself, Karen Morton. It is our seasonal delight, the December show.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Hi, it's Karen Morton here from the Food and Drink Show. Welcome to our seasonal show, and it is very festive. I've been enjoying wines and whiskey, and my face is glowing. So what could follow that? Well, it's either going to be cheese or chocolate. Well, I'm first of all going to do it a bit of the continental style. We're going to go sweet before we go cheese. And I have George Willicombe here from the Brighton Cacao Company, and you've grown from strength to strength since we met earlier in the year. And for Christmas, you brought out a range of new products, George. So tell us what you have been creating.
So we've actually just brought out our advent calendars, but obviously they have finished we brought those out in November. And we now just launched some new chocolate bars as well. Obviously, we teamed up with Brighton Gin, so we made our gin truffles.
Great. Have they been a big success?
Oh, they've been huge, yeah. So we started off with just doing a little collaboration with Brighton Gin. We then got in there with the i360.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because obviously they work quite closely with Brighton Gin, and we've done some gin and chocolate tastings up at the i360. So... and it's just such a popular chocolate. So.
Okay, open the bag. You've got the bag closed, George. We just got to try this. Whenever we're thinking about, I mean, some people may try at Christmas time as well, making truffles at home, as gifts. And it's a fun thing to try rolling out, and the Christmas music playing. But what is the secret there, for you in getting the balance right with chocolate and not being too overpowering? See, I don't like liqueurs, chocolates.
Yeah.
If I got those for Christmas, I would not be happy.
Fan.
But it's different when there's a truffle, and I think it's about being subtle for me anyway. So tell us what your secret is for making a good truffle.
So what I do is we get a lot of single origin chocolate. So it all comes from different areas. And so this particular chocolate is from Ghana. It's quite sweet, quite fruity, a little bit citrusy. So we also use it in our orange and lime chocolate bar.
Oh, it's so good, that chocolate bar.
Yeah, it's nice.
The orange and lime, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, so what I did is I then take a certain product, say gin, and I go, okay, how can I pair these chocolates? So I would try it with the different chocolates. So for instance, we've got one that's from Ecuador, but the actual flavour is quite sort of smoky. It's more of a whiskey sort of flavour. It's quite like rich in cocoa. So when you try and pair it with gin, it doesn't work. This is something that we did in the i360 when I did the tasting. I made 2 chocolates with Ecuador chocolate, and then I made, so one was gin, one was rum, and I did 2 with the Ghanaian, and I obviously did the gin and the rum again, just to show people how it doesn't pair well. And so then what I did is I try and bring out the flavour of the gin and the chocolate, and so I infused the cream with orange and lime and thyme, and let that infuse for about 20 minutes, and then that just brings out the flavour, the citrus flavour from the Ghanaian chocolate, and then it also brings out the flavour of the gin.
So thyme going in there.
Yeah.
Now, while you've been talking, I've been eating. And you definitely know that there's the alcohol in here, and it is that beautiful balance.
Yeah.
With the smoothness of the truffle and the chocolate. It is really delightful. And also what makes it festive is you've kind of got a shiny, it's as if they've been dusted with fairy dust.
Yeah,
so was that purpose, for Christmas?
Yeah, so I just when I was making the gin and chocolate, I wanted it to be sort of like a stand-up chocolate. It was just it was a bit of more of a special product, and I just thought it just needs a little bit extra, a little bit more Brighton, so I just shimmered it up a little bit.
Oh, it's so lovely, and you've got a really funky Brighton label.
Yeah.
I mean, it's delicious, and I've got this fairy dust on my fingers now from eating it. And I have to say that I have tasted your Brighton gin truffles before, because I went away for a pre-Christmas weekend with some friends. So after the meal, I gave everybody one of these truffles to try.
Nice.
But I just had to have you open it so I could try one again. It's so good. Now, also, this makes a really lovely gift because price-wise, it's really within budget. So tell everyone what the price is for the bag of truffles.
So the bag of truffles is £4.50, and they're all handmade in our shop in Portland Road.
It is so good.
Yeah, loads of gin as well.
Honestly, you really do, and it's not sickeningly sweet or overpowering that some liqueur chocolates have. This is delicious, absolutely delicious.
I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. You kind of, because when you're a chef or a pastry chef, you add a lot of alcohol to products, but it's more to just lift the flavour up. You don't want to just overpower it, and that's what I try to do. I mean, there is a lot of gin in there, but when you actually work it out per truffle, it's just a really nice,
and that's the secret. And George can't tell anyone, so you can't make these at home. Okay, that's the secret ingredient. At $4.95 a bag, honestly, it's just fantastic, and the flavour is great. And of course, George, we had a wonderful show with you a few months ago, and you gave us a taste test. And we were talking about your journey, and having been a chef, this is so lovely because you really truly understand about flavours and this mixing. And I love what you said about the i360 in showing people, why it is so important to get the right chocolate as your base, and how it can go wrong if you mix it. And that's the whole thing, isn't it? We need to taste a variety of things to go, oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Otherwise we wouldn't really understand.
And I think that's slightly where I may have gone wrong, because obviously I as a chef, that's what we're used to, and it's, it's just we come in the morning and that's what we do. But a lot of people don't see the kind of behind the scenes. That's what I try to do at the shop, where you can have people come in and actually look through. People come and do a chocolate tasting. They can do their own classes. And I can then show them, this is why we use this chocolate. So, I've brought in some other chocolate bars here. Each chocolate is from a different country.
Now, tell us more about these, because there's some exciting new chocolate bars. And what I love about your chocolate bars, there's retail outlets like the Flower Plot Bakery and other independent traders have your chocolate, but you can also buy it from you at your shop on Portland Road. But it's sort of that lovely, there's leaves. You feel you're in a tropical rainforest, and each one you've taken the leaves and you've made a different colour per bar, and it's beautiful. So it feels like a gift when you get them. So what flavours have you got now added to the range?
So I've got a dark chocolate Moroccan mint, and this chocolate is from the Peruvian rainforest. So it's really, really difficult to get hold of, this chocolate. And it's It is a very expensive chocolate to get in.
So this is
But-
the luxury coming in for this time of
Yeah,
year then.
but
Oh.
it was just one of these. I just had to try it, because it's one of those. There's certain places where it's really difficult to ship things. So
Yeah.
Madagascar, for instance, that's why vanilla is so expensive.
Is that right?
Yeah, because they've got such a short runway. It's so difficult to get cargo.
For goodness sake.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is so Madagascan chocolate as well is really expensive because it's so difficult to get it off the island. And if you were to actually look up flights to try and get to Madagascar, you have to go so many different places, and
Wow.
it's a bit crazy.
You see, this is the thing we don't understand quite often about our food sourcing. And when we know this, it helps us to appreciate what we eat all the more.
Exactly, yeah. And I like that the chocolate has, it has a little bit of history behind it. It has a story to, so we've got dark chocolate, chili and lime, and this chocolate's from Mexico. Now, it's naturally quite spicy, the chocolate, slightly fruity as well, a little bit citrusy. So when you pair it with the chili and lime, works really well. With the Moroccan mint, it's got sort of deep, rich cocoa taste, but if you were to pair that with the chili, it just wouldn't work. And if you were to pair the Mexican chocolate with the mint, it just wouldn't work. So it's nice. So when you do these, obviously we pair a lot of our chocolate with, that's sort of what we do. But it's to lift that flavour of the chocolate. It just accompanies it.
Wow,
So
beautiful.
really good.
And now, what else have you got there? So we're moving along.
So I've also got milk chocolate coffee.
Oh,
This is good. So this one I've been waiting about a year or two to make.
Okay, can you break that one open?
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got
do
to
it.
break that open. I am
Batch
Lady
one as
Coffee.
well.
Batch one.
Batch
Oh, oh.
This is the first bar. I saved it for this.
The first bar
this
we're
event.
trying here on the Food and Drink Show on Radio Reverb. Okay, you've heard this now. George Willicombe from the Brighton Cacao Company, and we're just about to have this taste. And of course, we have got our very own green room here, because we're piloting, doing the radio show with having a sort of other food producers in the area. I'm hopping in and out of the studio, so you're going to have to try that. Give everybody a little bit of this to try.
So do you, obviously the Flower Pot Bakery.
Yeah,
So they've just opened a roastery called the Milk Shed.
I saw that.
So they've opened that recently, and the reason I was waiting so long for this, obviously I used to work for them, and so I always said to Ollie that I'd always make him a coffee chocolate bar. But what I wanted to do is grind the cocoa nibs with the coffee beans to get a more natural coffee flavour. So you get that sort of like nice small hit of the coffee, and that's because we've got a stone grinder, and what you do is you add some cocoa butter and then the cocoa nibs, and you have to grind it for about an hour or so until it won't be smooth, but it'll be moving, and then you add all the coffee, and then every hour or so you just keep tightening it, and then you have to leave it overnight. So I actually just put a batch on again, and it's been on for about 12 hours, 15 hours.
Really?
Yeah, and it just grinds it into like a really nice smooth paste, and then we add that into that's our chocolate bar.
It is so subtle. It is so subtle. And actually, don't put your chocolate bar in the fridge. Keep it out, because otherwise you're not going to get the taste. And it's interesting that you've chosen milk chocolate and not a dark chocolate. So therefore you have got that really creamy taste on the tongue. And there is that hint of coffee, and it's not overpowering.
Yeah.
It's, the way there's I'm going to say the name Revels, and everybody would hate to get the coffee sweet in the bag. And often when coffee is used in chocolate, you have to love coffee, otherwise you're not going to drink it or eat the chocolate. If you are not a big coffee person, you are not going to find this chocolate bar offensive. It is very elegant.
Yeah, and that's, it's a really nice, it's smooth, it's creamy,
Oh, congratulations. Honestly, it is
Yeah.
really delicious. You have to savor it and you're going, yeah, get the coffee in there. But it's not overpowering. So well done you. And I love the story behind that, which is great.
So it's
delicious.
Nice. Yeah.
And we've tried it here. It's batch 1 on the Food and Drink Show. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. Lovely. So just hold that up there to the camera for us there, George, so we can just see. We've got a camera in the studio as well because we're playing around with audio visual for the show. So it's really, really good. And just very quickly tell us about the other 2 bars that you have that are looking very pretty. We're in the pink.
So this is, I just thought I'd bring out other 2 most popular bars. These are I think the pink peppercorn bar, I think you may have had it. Yeah.
I love that chocolate.
I think this is the chocolate that kind of set up the company. You know, it was just, this is kind of the chocolate bar that we're about. It's really unusual. It's different. I've personally never seen a chocolate flavour like it.
So delicious.
And it's what I like about cooking is I want people to love things or hate it. And this very much is our Marmite. You know, people really love it or they really hate it. And I don't want people to be in the middle because it doesn't create any discussion. No. If it's like, oh, it's okay, that's fine. But what I really like about this chocolate is it creates, you know, we're doing the Brighton Christmas Festival at the moment. And you see husbands and wife like battling over it, going, "No, I hate it." And you're like, they're going, "Well, I really like it," you know. And it's
I loved it from the first bite. That is my chocolate bar. Yeah, I loved it.
And that's the thing. And I've taken it I give it to friends, I give it to you know people, and they go, "Oh no, I don't like the sound of that." And I'm like, "Just try it, just try it."
You have to.
And they go, "Oh, actually, yeah, okay, yeah." And I'm like,
amazing.
It's just being a bit adventurous.
So, and it's one of your best sellers.
Yeah. So the pink peppercorn Himalayan salt and the caramelized white chocolate.
Everybody loves a little bit of caramel. I think is it because it's been a trend in the last couple of years, George, to have like salted caramel and everything.
Yeah. But I think it's definitely is part of the trend, but we do have a sweet tooth. And it just hits the spot.
Now, sometimes the caramel for me, it can be too sweet. So what have you done to balance this, or have you gone with what people want in general?
I just sort of go with what people want. I do caramel truffles that aren't as sweet, but it's one of those things. If you don't have a huge sweet tooth, it's definitely not the chocolate for you. Because it is so white chocolate contains a lot more sugar. So, and that's how we get the caramelized white chocolate, is if you place white chocolate in the oven about 90 degrees for about 4 or 5 hours, because of its high sugar content, it starts to caramelize. So it will always naturally be sweet. And again, most of the dark chocolate lovers absolutely hate it, but it's the sweet tooth lovers go crazy.
Lovely. And there are people who absolutely adore, like my nephew just loves white chocolate. So I'll always get him some white chocolate at Christmas time, whatever. So it's in the white chocolate, which makes it really, I think, quite quirky and special. The fact that you've chosen the white chocolate to go with that, with the caramel. I absolutely love it. So there's really across the range a chocolate bar for everyone. Great for stocking fillers. I mean, are all your bars the same price? Because I know you've said that some chocolate is harder to get than others, or are they priced differently?
No, so I just try to keep it all at the same price. They're £4.50 each, or in our shop you can come and get 3 for £12, which is, quite a reasonable price. Yeah. But, obviously some of them are a lot more expensive to produce, but they do roughly work out the same. There's some chocolate is a bit crazy expensive, and some will just run for a smaller amount of time because, like the Moroccan mint is very expensive to buy, the Peruvian chocolate, but it's a good product and people like it, so it's, if we can see a bit more of a demand, then we might keep it on. And
after a nice big meal too, the whole idea of peppermint and mint for your digestion, of course, that's quite nice, and people are used to having chocolate mint you
It's a
know,
nice palate
having
cleanser.
it. Yeah, it is a really
Yeah.
nice palate cleanser. So that's beautiful. Something for everyone. Lovely for gifts. Lovely to gift yourself. And really, I applaud you on the Brighton gin truffles. They're just divine. So they're going to be definitely on my Christmas fair this year. Now, you run the just before you go, the chocolate classes.
Yep.
So people can come and make chocolate with you. So how does that work?
So we basically just either book online or in the shop. But what it is they sort of run from about 2.5 to 4 hours. But actually, in a bizarre way, because of COVID, changed everything. We used to do big classes of 14, 15 people. And you know, it's all a bit crazy and there's a bit, you know, there's chaos going on all the time. But because of COVID and our shop's obviously slightly smaller, we have, you know, I just thought, well, actually, I don't know if people really want to mix and match in their classes. You know, I went and did a Indian cooking course, and there was a couple of us in there, and one person was a bit funny about, you know, other people being there. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it at the moment. So if you just want to book for 2 people, we just do it with 2 people, rather than having 6 people in there. 3 different couples. People might be more comfortable, people not so much. So at the moment, I'm doing it so that people can just come in, whether it's 1 person, 2, 4, you know,
love that.
all their friends. And actually, what I found recently is it's so much more personal.
Yeah.
You know, and I did a class the other day, and it went on for about 5 hours. And they're like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're having fun, and there's no one else here to worry about.
Yeah.
You know, you're not conscious about, oh, this person's, you know, you always get someone that's really quick or someone that's a bit slower, and they get to ask their own questions.
So really what it is, it's your passion really for making the chocolate yourself, and you enjoy other people enjoying themselves and you're just going with the flow, because I think the more agile you can be during COVID with your business model.
Yeah.
And, you know, when people are getting an experience with you, then so are you.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think, you know, that is a must. It could be a great Christmas gift to gift someone how to make chocolate with you at the Brighton Cacao Company on Portland Road. Nice, intimate setting. You can order online your chocolates, pop into the shop, or you will also see your chocolate bars in the likes of the Flower Pot Bakery and a couple of other independent traders.
The I360, we're also in Health Rebels on Western Road, Brighton Flower Company, Western Road, Ginger and Dobbs in Shoreham. There's quite a few.
Oh,
I can't
absolutely.
Think
Well,
of my head.
just remember all these delicious flavours. We wish you a fantastic Christmas and that everything goes swimmingly for you over the season. Now, I'm hoping you're going to step into the green room and help all our lovely guests to enjoy your chocolate. And there's some nice drinks out there to pair the chocolate with. So see
little
what
sneaky
Louise
one.
and you can compare with your notes with. That's great. So, George, welcome from the Brighton Cacao Company here on the Food and Drink Show with myself, Karen Morton. Thank you for being with us.
No worries, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Great. That's lovely. You are listening to the Food and Drink Show with myself, Karen Morton. And I am so happy that this is the December festive show because we get to have so many treats. And it's especially nice this year because, you know, we've had COVID and we haven't been able to have any guests at all. And I'm now in a special purpose-built studio that is allowing social distancing. And we've been able to set up a green room so that food producers can meet and mingle in a safe distance and share produce. So we've had Louise Oliver from 7 Cellars introducing us to some wonderful drinks for Christmas. We've had George Willicombe from the Brighton Cacao Company introducing us to new chocolate flavours, and the Brighton gin truffles, amazing. But also how he pairs the chocolate, which is so fantastic to get the right flavours for us. Now, I thought it would be nice to introduce you to some cheese varieties. We're doing it continental style, where we've had the sweet things first, and now we're going on to the cheese. And I really had to have the cheese man in the studio. Now, you see the signs everywhere. When I walk up and down the beach, I always tap the wall as my distance that I go when I'm doing a walkie run thing. It's my kind of running. But I have to say, Tony Cowling from the cheese man. You are the cheese man.
I am the cheese man, yeah. Thank you for having me, by the way.
It's so good to have you here, having eaten your cheeses and your first visit to the Food and Drink Show. Now tell me, how did you get to become the cheese man?
Well, it's a bit of inheritance, really. My father started the business 26 years ago, and he's been working with cheese most of his life. And it just became a development of the business. So he started off on his own, got too busy, and by demand needed more help. So I decided to finish my job and join him full time, and it's now gone on to the next stage. And now my son's now joined the business as well, so it is now third generation, and my wife's involved. So it is still a family business. So,
How nice is that? Now, I don't think you're out with the cows and milking them and making the cheese. You've become more a specialist at knowing good cheese and making it available. So tell me how your business model works.
Yeah, so the cheese makers themselves, they do a fantastic job, and I wouldn't like to start going and make my own cheese, but we can certainly have a vessel to get their cheeses to market, and that's what we've been doing over the last 26 years. So basically concentrated on small producers and predominantly a lot of local producers through Sussex, and trying to get the smaller farms to get their cheeses to restaurants, delicatessens, farm shops, all over the county.
And I think that's where you come into your own, because sometimes, when you're a food producer, a bit like an artist, you're so involved in the making of your product. The marketing can be exhausting. So if you've got someone to take over that side of it, to get your produce in front of people,
yeah, exactly.
That really does help. Now, you're going to introduce us to some exciting cheeses for people to share over Christmas and New Year. So what have you got on this rather delicious cheese board that's in front of me that listeners can't get to see, but you can if you go along to YouTube and you will find the Food and Drink Show. But tell us what you got.
Okay, so I've brought 4 different cheeses in today. We've got a couple of Sussex cheeses and then 2 more British cheeses. So obviously we try to focus a lot on Sussex and try to promote as many ones as we can. So we've got a lovely, for Christmas, we've got a lovely Sussex truffled brie.
Truffled brie?
Truffled brie, yeah. So quite decadent, but it's, very nice. And the Christmas time, if it's got truffles in it, then, everybody likes a bit of...
And who's producing that?
This is made by Allsop and Walker, just outside Crowhurst in East Sussex. So,
really?
Yeah, so it's...
break that out. Let's get a little taste of that there. Truffle brie, never have I had that.
So, let's get that.
And what's lovely is that it's not just the creamy brie all the way through. You've got like a slice going through the middle.
Yeah, so it's like a truffle sandwich.
It is,
more or less. So basically they have their Sussex brie, which is very popular, and they slice it open and they mix the truffle with the cream cheese, and then they put it back together, mature it for a little bit longer, and
So you're definitely, oh my gosh, you're really getting the truffle and the cream cheese coming out, and then that creaminess of the brie.
Yeah.
And again, don't have this cheese too cold, so you're getting all those flavours nearly melting on a cracker.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. I'm so excited to see that. Really, really is good. Now, is that going to be widely available to buy, this particular truffle brie?
The truffle brie is obviously more popular at Christmas, but it is available all year round. But yes, there should be plenty of demand for it, so we should have plenty of stock. Yeah.
And you supply the retailers and independent sort of shops around Brighton and Hove, which is lovely. Now, what I'm liking about that too is that if Stilton is too strong for you as a cheese, for our listeners, this is a lovely alternative. You're getting a strength of flavour coming through and the creaminess.
Exactly.
A really nice alternative.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Like I say, and on Stilton, very popular at Christmas, but obviously there are so many alternatives, like the blue cheese we've brought here today.
Oh, okay. So a lovely, and it do you know what? The blue cheese that you have there it looks, I know this sounds a weird word, but it looks fresh.
Yes.
It really does. The colour of it is beautiful. It's sort of a really lovely, it's like a buttermilk colour,
Yeah.
a buttercup colour, which is so lovely. So tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so this is it's called Blue Clouds, and it's from the Balcombe Dairy, and it's produced from a single herd at the dairy, so milk comes from one source, and it's based on like a gorgonzola style, so it will get quite soft and creamy, and will start to ooze over time when it gets to the peak of perfection.
Oh, I'm thinking fondue here, good old fashioned fondue coming in.
Yeah, so yes, so it's a little bit more subtle than a Stilton. So for the people that are scared of blue cheeses, it's actually a good way to start.
Oh, break a little bit off there, and I'm going to. You brought some nice crackers as well too. Cheese and crackers over the festive time, just sitting down, lounging. We've got our whiskies and our wines. Oh, heaven, heaven, heaven. So that's just and it really is. Do you know what? It's the colour that's particularly appealing to me, and I think this is where I'm getting this freshness. Oh, that's very good.
It is a very good cheese. Yeah, very good cheese.
That's a very good. Now, tell me a little bit about temperature with this, because I think this is the other thing. We all keep our cheeses in the fridge just because, well, maybe sometimes it's because we've nowhere else to store things.
Yeah.
We don't have the outhouses that big houses would have had in the past. So what's your advice on that?
Well, with cheese, obviously with the environmental health these days, you've got to keep all foods chilled. But with cheese, it has to be served at room temperature, because that's when all the flavours come out. So obviously you need to, if you're having people round, then you've got to make sure the cheese is out in plenty of time so it gets to room temperature and it's at its peak perfection. But for storing, best place is in the fridge. Either you can use just wrap them in cling film or even a greaseproof paper. But if you store them at the lowest part of the fridge, then it doesn't get too cold. So that's the best place to store them.
And then whenever you're going, how long before we're actually serving the cheese? Should we have it out, and is it the same? Are all cheeses equal in that way?
No, normally you'd find the harder cheeses need to stay out a little bit longer because you need to get the core temperature back up to room temperature, and the softer cheeses a little bit less. So yeah, it could be a couple of hours, or an hour, depending on the cheese. Yeah.
Okay, so, leave it out a little bit on your cheese board, cover it up, and then it's ready to go. So if you're sitting down for your starter, you could have your cheese board out ready to go by the time you get to your cheese board.
Yes, definitely, that'd be it should all be good to go.
Perfect, that sounds great. Okay, so 2 cheeses down, and what's our third one on the cheese board?
Okay, so I bought a cheddar here. It's an organic cheddar called Pitchfork from Somerset. And this actually won the, I say won, it was in the top 4 of the World Cheese Awards recently, a couple of years ago. So it's actually quite an award-winning cheese. It's made by the Wren brothers, which also make the Gorwood Caerphilly, which is another famous cheese. So there we go.
Lovely. Okay, this is great. So we're going to give this a little nibble. There's nearly like a nutty aftertaste with the cheese, which is very lovely. How is that?
I think a lot of the, because this is a traditionally made cheddar, so it comes in the big rounds, sort of 30 kilo, 27 kilo round cheddars, and it has the cloth wrapper around it as well. So it is traditionally made. A lot of people who go to the supermarkets now are so used to having a block of cheddar, but they don't realise that normally all the traditional ones were made in circle truckles, and I think it's the way the cheeses are aged brings the different profiles of the cheeses coming through. So you get the nuttiness in some of them.
Tell me the name of this again, because now you've kind of spoilt me for my bargain bag of cheddar in the fridge in the supermarket.
This is
divine.
This is called Pitchfork.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it is a very good cheddar. Yeah, and I'd say traditionally made, and like you say, it was 4th in the World Cheese Awards a couple of years ago.
Well, I can see that. It is award-winning. It's delicious. So delicious. Okay, so we have a fourth cheese here. Now, this one is looking a bit like when I've stayed in the bath too long.
It is a little bit wrinkly.
Gets all crinkly and
exactly.
wrinkly, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
Don't be put off, listeners.
Well, this is a goat's cheese from Oxfordshire, and it's called a Cinedon Hill, and it has won some awards as well. But it has got quite a unique look on the outside. It's the yeasts on the outside of the cheese that mature, and it makes it look all wrinkly. But the inside, if I come up, the inside will be a lot fresher and whiter.
Now, there's different goat's cheese. There's the goat's cheese that is generally round, and we get it if we're going to have a starter, and there's like a flan, or there's a goat's cheese and spinach something or whatever, which is very strong in taste and flavour. And then there's the harder goat's cheeses, which are a very different taste and consistency. So what's going on there?
Well, a lot of people, I think, over the past have been put off by goat's cheese. I think maybe because a lot of the continental cheeses, the goat's cheeses, are quite strong and pungent and quite, how's the word put it, farmyardy. Where some of the
smelly, in other
smelly,
words.
Smelly. But then you can get a lot of fresher and more lactic goat's cheeses that do sort of taste a bit fresher on the palate. So
okay, well, this is going to be one for me to try now, because I'm not a great goat's cheese person, but yet whenever I have been abroad and I've had sort of a firmer goat's cheese away from the traditional rounds that we get, I have had, they've been very delicious. So you're definitely having a goat's cheese.
Yeah.
Very subtle on the palate and very creamy.
Very creamy, yes.
Very creamy. So that would be lovely on a cracker, which is really nice. Some nice grapes or fruit on the side. And I wouldn't want to have a chutney with that, because it would be overpowering, because it's so delicate in flavour.
It is quite delicate, yeah. So that's what a lot of people have put off, thinking
very nice.
Goat's cheese, no, I don't want to try it. But I think with any cheese, you can. A lot of people like strong cheeses, but sometimes if you have a strong cheese, you can't taste anything after it. I always think if you have a cheese, it's good if you know you want another piece.
Yeah. Oh, it's very good. Now, you could have that as an alternative to a brie or alongside. It's in that family on the cheese board. It's very soft and subtle.
Yes, yeah.
That is a welcome surprise for me there, because I would normally go, the goat's cheese, I'll pass on that one. Very, very nice.
Yeah. I think, like you say, some
that
people...
was a lovely surprise.
People have been put off in the past, but I think you can't always, judge a book by its cover. So always try it first.
Always try it first, and it looks interesting as well in the crinkly sort of way in the middle of the cheese board.
Exactly.
So we have got Tony Cowling, who is the cheese man here on Radio Reverb Food and Drink Show. We've been tasting delicious cheeses. But you've also got a new venture that you have opened this year called the Cheese Hut, and I really want to know more about that. Tell us, please, Tony.
Okay, the Cheese Hut came about when we had a wholesale business, and we kept having people popping around the unit asking if they can buy cheese. And being a wholesaler, we deal direct with the trade, so we couldn't, and we didn't have the space. So we moved over to a new unit on the port, and we had some space. And we said, well, what a place to showcase a lot of the products that we sell through the wholesale, and predominantly showcasing the Sussex cheeses, which we wanted to do. So we built a little summer house inside the unit, and we called it the Cheese Hut, and it's open to the public. Tuesday to Saturday, 10 till 4. So, and we have probably between 120, 150 different cheeses in there at one time, and about 60 Sussex cheeses as well. So
Wow.
something for everybody.
Something for everyone so that they can pop down, because I think this whole thing, when we see and we know where you are,
Yeah.
and it's just predominantly wholesale, but here you have this little window of opportunity on a Saturday where people can go down and see you as well too. So that is just gorgeous. Now, what are you, in addition to what you brought us here today, I noticed that you've got a little gift goodie box there. And again, we're thinking about not only eating ourselves, but about what we can give as gifts.
Exactly, yeah. Well, like I say, in our household, the cheese, is a great gift. I think you can find something for everybody, and it's something they always remember. So, in the shop, we've got lots of cheeses that are available, and we can make gift boxes up, and we do monthly cheese subscriptions and monthly cheese boxes of British and artisan and local cheeses that you can subscribe to.
So tell us about the monthly subscription. Again, this is such a nice gift idea.
Yeah, so every month we have a different selection of cheeses. It consists of 5 cheeses, and they come in a large box. And you have over 1 kilo of cheese in total, and it also comes with a big box of crackers as well. And then you can have it delivered every month, or every 2 months, or every 3 months, or just pop into the shop and just have it on, when you take your fancy.
And how much is the monthly subscription then for that?
So that's £29.95 for a monthly cheese box, and the more months you have it, you get a slight discount on those as well.
Well, isn't that fantastic? And I've got a year of weddings next year. Seriously, it is the year everybody's getting married, of all different generations. But I remember when I got married, and what somebody gave me was a year's supply of flowers to go to the flower shop and I had a gift card so that I could always have my home full of flowers. Yeah. Now, cheese is one of those things that everybody loves. Yeah. And it's all the more special when you're being treated so that you go and try something different and spoil yourself. And that again could make a gorgeous gift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could subscribe
outside
it just
Christmas,
for a couple of months, or for longer, for however long you like. But
and do you deliver so people can order online, or do they have to come down to you?
Yes, no, they look on the Cheese Hut website, and there's a link to all the products, and they can have it delivered as well. And there's lots of other items on there that.
Do you do tastings?
Since COVID, we've had to cut down on the tastings in shop, but previous to that, then we did have about 6 or 7 different cheeses on taste in the shop in any one go. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, if this dreaded COVID thing passes, then we can open up the tastings again, and then we can people can try different cheeses while they're in store. The actual shop itself is very small, so we can only get a limited amount of people in there. But
you've opened my eyes. The truffle brie, incredible. The cheddar has really blown my mind, and then really as well with the goat's cheese, where I'll go, no thank you to goat's cheese. I have really enjoyed that. So
excellent.
Crinkles and everything. It is just lovely. Tony, it's been a delight to have you on the show. I look forward to going down and seeing you at the Cheese Hut. And listeners, I hope that you enjoy buying cheeses that have been brought to your favourite delis and restaurants, as well as getting it direct from Tony as well too. So Tony, we wish you a very happy Christmas, and
and to you.
Cheese.
Indeed, Merry Christmas and cheese.
Now, do enjoy the green room. Everyone must try, our guests here must try the cheeses, and let's see what it tastes like with the whiskey that Louise from 7 Cellars brought down, and cheese and chocolate.
There's a pair in there, I'm sure.
What do you reckon? Well, we have got the very expert in George Willicombe there about flavours of chocolate. So you enjoy that. For listeners, I hope that you have enjoyed our guests on the show today. Louise Oliver from 7 Cellars. We have the Cheese Man, otherwise known as Tony Cowling, that you've just heard, and George Willicombe from the Brighton Cacao Company, giving us lots of treats for ourselves to serve to our guests, but also that we can give as gifts. It has been truly delightful to have everybody.